welcome to Talking Bottom on The Young Ones. I'm Paul Tanter.
I'm Matt Brooks.
And I'm Ange Pearson.
And you join us here for a special bonus episode that follows our recent series all about the young ones. Following the huge success of the two series in the UK in 1982 and 1984, the public appetite for more young ones was enormous. People clamoured for a third series, but Rick, Lisa and Ben had been insistent that it was 2 series and done, ending with a literal bang. The British public would have to satisfy their urges with the Bachelor Boys book, Living Doll record release, live shows, and occasional advert featuring basically the same characters. So The Young Ones was done in the UK, but show business often has more emphasis on business than show, and if a programme or format is successful, then there's money to be made. Everyone knows that one of the UK's biggest and most successful exports abroad is our music, but did you also know that following the success of Steptoe & Son remake Sanford & Son in the US in the 70s, a slew of British sitcoms were successfully remade for American audiences over the following decades. Fawlty Towers, Red Dwarf, Men Behaving Badly, and The Inbetweeners were all remade across the pond and were smash hit successes, all running for years and winning numerous awards.
Peep Show's another one.
The Young Ones was no different, taking the original concept and transplanting it to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where the show loosely based moments in its first series on the UK version before the American writers really made it their own and the show took off, eclipsing the success of its UK parent and running for 10 series, making multi-millionaires of its creators Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. Oh no, wait, that was The Office. Actually, Fawlty Towers, Red Dwarf, Men Behaving Badly, The Inbetweeners, and Peep Show all had failed attempts at US remakes. In some cases, one or more pilot episodes, in some cases, shooting a whole series. The Young Ones is a title that joins this ignoble list, with a pilot episode shot in 1989 for Fox under the title of Oh No, Not Them. A single episode was made starring original British young one Nigel Planer, reprising his character Neil, a young Jackie Earle Haley, who modern audiences may know as Rorschach in Zack Snyder's Watchmen films, as Rip, and someone called Robert Bundy, whose IMDb doesn't even have a picture, as Todd, with a supporting cast of various people who pop up at times, the main one of note being Mike Haggerty, who most people will know as Mr. Trigger in Friends. The pilot was a thing of myth and legend for many years, rumoured to be under lock and key and unlikely to be seen. In November 2025, Nigel Planer announced he would be releasing it on his Patreon. We paid to watch it fair and square, though we saw that since then some cheeky so-and-so uploaded a copy to YouTube that's since been taken down. But if you haven't seen it, we will now roll up our sleeves and get into it for you. I'll just say this though, Oh No, Not Them is proper dog shit.
Brilliant, brilliant. Can I add in 2 other notable remakes that failed to take off?
Go on.
Spaced had a US remake where I've seen a little bit of footage from it and it just looks soulless.
Right.
And one of my most mystifying ones for me is Coupling, because Coupling always felt like, to me, the English Friends.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
America, sorry, I want it too. It's like, you've got it. You've already got it.
I imagine that's kind of what became How I Met Your Mother, innit? Like in terms of like couples being the thing, whereas Friends was Friends,
Maybe.
and then coupling was coupling. I didn't like coupling.
And
but
also,
anyway,
Pain was an American remake of Fawlty Towers.
But it was called what? Pain?
Pain, Payne.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
so like faulty, it's like a pun
Yeah.
on pain. Oh, how hilarious! I can't believe it didn't work.
Okay, so we've got a couple of press clippings to read that are on the subject of America and the young ones.
It doesn't say what newspaper this is for, but on the 20th of June 1985, The Young Ones for the US, the BBC's comedy series, The Young Ones, has been bought by the American cable channel MTV. This is the first time that... Oh, okay. So this isn't about the remake. This is a bit about it being shown.
Okay, well, this all adds to the
Yeah.
the reason it got
So, yeah.
piloted, though, innit?
Yeah, this is the first time the BBC programmes have been shown on MTV, and is also the first time that a non-music series has been shown on MTV. I was going to interject with, oh, and did you know? But yeah, the article knows its stuff. The deal between BBC Enterprises and MTV was arranged through BBC Enterprises, American distribution, Lionheart Television, blah, blah, blah. As well as The Young Ones, the MTV has also bought Howard Jones in Concert, shown on March in Oxford Roadshow series. Roy Gibbs, sales director of the BBC Enterprises, said last week, "We are very pleased indeed to be doing business with MTV for the first time. It is an extremely important new outlet for the BBC programming in the United States, and we look forward to developing Association in the future.
God, this reads like a trade piece.
Yeah.
This is so
It will
dry.
be. That'll
And-
be from a really, really dry press release.
And we know Lisa Mayer said that they got fuck all for
Yeah,
that
Mm.
in America. Yeah,
But amazing that it's the only show on MTV at that point
that
that wasn't music.
Yeah, the first.
But of course, you did have a bit of music in the Young Ones, so maybe that's sort of why MTV were the ones to
Yeah,
pick it
good
up.
point. Good point.
And we've got an announcement press piece about the announcement of the pilot.
Okay, this is from 1989. This is from Broadcast, so this is a kind of trade paper. This is a piece called The Young Ones to Hit US. DL Tafner and MTM Entertainment are to co-produce a $1 million, in brackets £640,000, pilot for the US version of BBC comedy hit The Young Ones for Fox. The half-hour script, written by David Merkin, love that last name, and who also directed it, by the way, was originally financed by ABC. When it decided not to go ahead with the show, I wonder why, Tafner and MTM, where Merkin is based, took the project to Fox. Merkin will also executive produce and direct the pilot when it is shot next month. Under the deal between Tafner and MTM, the two are equal co-producers, and the back end each is responsible for different areas of distribution. No one got any back end. Don Tafner, president of his own company, said the pilot budget was high because of the visual gimmicks involved. If it goes into series, it's going to be a lot cheaper, he said.
MTM is the Mary Tyler Moore company.
Oh, right, okay. So there you go. That was a
Right.
trade piece.
Do we know how much it did cost?
Well, you know what? I don't know how much it cost.
Okay.
And even if it did cost a cool $1 million, a load of that would have been spent on
Neil.
producer fees, paying themselves. Some of it would have been cast fees. It didn't seem like a particularly... If people weren't aware of the Young Ones, they'd look at that and go, wow, there's so much in there. That must have cost so much. But then when you hear Paul Jackson talk about making the Young Ones in the UK and how little money they had, like, you know that the stuff in there can be done cheap. So
Does he say it had no money? Because
Well-
they had, 50% bigger budget than normal?
but comparatively, they were still like scrimping, weren't they? He's never said like we were spoiled with cash or anything, did he?
But no, he has said that the budget was 50% higher than something
Yeah, I
average of that
understand that, but-
side. But
For the UK versions of the Young Ones, I think it was pretty high compared to the sitcoms, like you say. But I don't think it a lot of
series-
the cash was there in series 2, wasn't it? They always
Yeah,
say they got
they
more
got
for
more.
that. But I don't know exactly how much each episode of the Young Ones would have actually set the BBC back, because nowadays it's like $250,000, isn't it,
Yeah.
per sitcom
Well,
episode?
I know what you mean. He's never said like, oh yeah, we had infinite resources.
Yeah.
But also, I never heard him actually say it was a huge struggle, because it was fully backed by the BBC, and you just walk down the corridor to the best wig department in the country
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So they had the money spent at the BBC went further, I suppose.
If anyone's listening and you haven't yet seen No, Not Them, usually I would say you really must seek it out before you listen to our episode, because none of this is going to make any sense. And, you should go and listen, go and watch it. But honestly, I couldn't recommend anyone to watch Oh No, Not
Yeah.
Them. It is painfully shite.
Yes,
Isn't it?
it's a curiosity watch, isn't it?
Yes,
And we
I'm-
had it lauded over us. Lauded, that's wrong. Like teased, like this mythical thing for years. Like, wow, I wish I could see that. I really wanted to see it.
You were really excited about
I
watching it.
couldn't
weren't you?
believe we were going to see it, and then
Yeah.
like my heart dropped pretty shortly into
Because
it.
when we were at Slapstick Fest and Nigel announced it was going to be coming out on his
Oh, this was
Patreon,
my
you were
li-
genuinely like, yes. Like
Yeah.
you almost, heckled
Yeah.
in the crowd, because it was like, oh, we're finally going to be able to watch it. And there is, I must also say, if you want to watch it, like please do, because it is a curiosity.
Well,
You have to watch it to believe it.
There was something you said, Matt, when we were talking to Lisa Mayer, which was, and I think it was very accurate, was that you feel like you've hit your head and then like woken up in a world where like someone's tried to do a version of the Young
I was
Ones.
supposed to explain it to you
yeah,
if they've never seen it.
But
Yeah.
in an American TV studio,
Yeah.
which is completely and utterly incongruous to the entire ethos of the Young Ones. So the first thing I think you'd remember about the Young Ones if you were concussed and you woke up would be the grime. It would be the grot.
Yes.
You might have a loose idea of the characters, but it would be, oh God, the house was a shithole. And this is this like
Yeah.
horribly
It's
sanitized.
mentioned. It's meant to be a mucky house, isn't it? And they kind of go
It's
act
shit.
as if it is, but
It's not.
So it's 4 college roommates sharing a far too tidy house. Oh, no,
Is
it's
it-
not 4,
No.
is it? It's 3!
You've
So
only re-
obviously, which you've got rid of one of them, obviously then.
So,
That'd be Mike then, wouldn't it?
Which
Obviously got rid of
one?
Mike,
Yeah.
obviously got rid of Mike, haven't you? You got rid of Rick! What the fucking hell are you doing?
So let's look at the characters they've got. They brought Neil over. They brought Nigel Planer over to be Neil, be the same Neil character. They've got
And that was because of Paul Jackson, wasn't it? They phoned him up.
and said we don't know who the
hero
We
is.
need the likable
Yeah.
Somebody who's-
hero.
And he said, well, there isn't one. That's the point.
But if ever there was
Yeah.
one, it's Neil. Yeah.
Then you've got Mr. Bundy playing seems to be Mike. You've got your sort of straight man, good-looking guy, and then you've got, and I'm just going to call him Rorschach for the rest of the episode. You've got Rorschach playing someone who's dressed as Vivian, but half the time he's being Vivian, smashing things over his head, and then half the time he's kind of being Rick.
There's
But in
a
that
little
idiot
bit of
American way of
Yeah,
being a bit
he's-
of a dork.
Yeah, his voice is kind of childish and annoying, isn't it?
I'm glad you said childish because, I wonder if the direction to him was, can you deliver every line like you're a child who's just run into the room really excited to deliver some news to people?
Yes, that's how they describe this. And the character's called Rip.
Rip,
The
yeah.
P,
Yeah.
inexplicably. But do you think it is inexplicable that they've called them Todd and Rip and Neil? Do you think it is to get around the characterization and the payment to the originators of those characters?
Well, the
Because
originators are credited, so they would have had to get paid anyway for their.
It's so bizarre to me that they decided to drop. I mean, I can understand they'd be like, Todd's more of an American name. And then I
Yeah.
guess they were like, oh, okay, instead
Yeah,
of
they-
Vivian, maybe it can be Rip. Like, he's wearing ripped clothes.
I mean, they
Like,
got-
it's so shit.
I kept thinking that James, Rorschach, what's he called? James Earl.
James Earl Haley was
James-
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, I keep saying James Earl Jones.
Darth Vader comes
I
in.
kept seeing James Earl Haley, brackets RIP, but oh no, he's died.
Oh, I see.
oh no, I understand now. Yeah, it was the first time seeing it, hearing him called Rip, misheard that as
Yeah,
Rick.
yeah, same here.
You called him Rick?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
I misheard it as Rick
Yeah.
because you just expect it to have been Rick,
Uh-huh.
don't you? That's not the worst thing about it, by the way.
Well,
dear
let's
listener.
talk. This is going to be so. This is going to be like bullying a disabled
Yeah.
child.
All right,
let's
like-
calm down and
Yeah,
relax
we
and
do
try
need
and
to go through
yeah.
it methodically.
They've taken all these elements from the UK version and they've tried to make their own version of it. So that you've got things like there's violence of some people smashing people over the head. There's text appearing on screen for characters with like things that actually, it's a joke, and if you miss it, then that bit's
yeah.
gone.
Do you know that those bits? I didn't quite land with me, but I like the attempt
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
It's kind of I can see where they were trying
So
to go
just
with
to
that.
explain to anyone who may not have seen it or can't remember it, it kind of flashes up when every character's first on screen, the audience that the demographic that they appeal to, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's the recurring joke that happens
Yeah.
whenever whenever a character appears on screen, and it's more than a rule of 3. It
Yeah.
is literally everyone who walks on,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like 4 or 5 of them, and they get less funny
Mm.
as it goes. Like, well, the first 2 aren't funny at all. One is just that the demographic is women aged 18 to 45 and men aged 18 to 45. That's it for Rip
Yeah.
and Todd.
Neil's
And
one is all
then
stupid people. or
Neil's is
something.
all stupid people,
Yeah.
right? And that is a little rule of 3. Like, you kind of think, okay, you've
No,
established
no.
something about these characters. Like, the Rip character is going to appeal to men. They reckon Todd's handsome, so he appeals to women. And Neil's stupid, so that's that. You
they keep
kind of
doing
like, we
it.
get it. But then
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the women come in and it's a
Yeah.
horrendous thing, isn't it? Where it's
And
like,
it's like a-
all hot, red-blooded males with testosterone.
I know what you're going to say here,
I
Paul.
was going to say, just let me run through a little bit of a list of things that they tried to steal from the from the UK version. That
So they they use from the from the Young Ones series. Yeah.
So as well as that, there's talking hamsters. There's cuts to the audience watching, and there's reference to establishing the character and becoming a regular. So that's things like very meta stuff. There's rat puppets, and all these things are very similar to the UK version, but they went totally overboard on we're going to be really meta, we're going to acknowledge this TV show, we're going to keep on cutting to the audience and that kind of thing. And they did so much, and the first half of this felt like an attempt at a sketch show. I know the Young Ones would like sneak in things that were basically sketches, but the first half of it is like they just threw so much shit and
Yeah.
hoped that some of it would
It's
stick.
the cutaways idea, isn't it? That
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
it doesn't play well, and it opens with. I mean, we should go through probably that. It opens with this happy family, well, not so happy family on a couch about to watch
Yeah,
this show.
basically preempting the critics, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll just, this is a new show that's on, and we're the family that, we're going to watch. They've got like a teenage son. It's a mum and dad, isn't it? And to me, honestly, that's probably the funniest bit is them just being like, what's this crap? Oh no, not them. Oh, I suppose we're going to enjoy this, are we? It's not going to be as good as Flipper. Like, it's not funny, by the way, but I think it is actually the funniest thing, because then at the end they're like, it sucked.
Yeah,
and it's like,
but
I
they-
agree
but
with the
they're
family.
trying to be funny
I
about
think
that.
I
They're saying-
relate to that three characters.
Sure.
But then it goes into a really, really ridiculously zany clay.
What do you right?
What was it? Clay stop motion.
Clay motion.
Clay motion. But which is actually very impressive, isn't it?
So it's the same sort of style as Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse. I don't know if it is the same guy. And like around the sort of time of late 80s, bunch of things in Sesame Street and stuff.
Yeah, but and
Th-
Danny
this was-
Elfman did the music, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was a bit of a fact I didn't realize.
Which
till I
is
saw the
crazy,
credits.
because obviously Danny Elfman's a god in terms of like film composition and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But like, and the music, and it kind of reminds me a bit of Drop Dead Fred's intro, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
kind of trying to be zany
And
and
also,
kind of
you know,
childlike.
Danny Elfman did the theme tune to The Simpsons.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Well,
and
there's-
also David Merkin. Do you know who he is?
He's a director, and he was a writer and producer on The Simpsons, so I think held showrunner title for
He
a
was
while.
showrunner for seasons 5 and 6, which are arguably the best seasons of The Simpsons.
Right.
But also as a director, he directed Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, which I would argue is actually quite a good film.
It is a
so
great film.
he's had a varied career.
So all of the ingredients that were sort of being plucked from the British show, you know, they've got all the ingredients should be there. You know, it's a strong concoction of ingredients. Obviously, they've taken Nigel over to be Neil, which next to the thing I think that's inherently wrong with it is not only the setting is far too clean and American and just doesn't make any sense whatsoever as the house that they live in, but it's like Neil living with these two Americans
Yeah. No,
makes zero sense. You've lost one of your key characters, which is Rick, which again, I can see why they dropped him, because he wouldn't make any fucking sense really to the American audience when he's going on about Thatcher. And like, they
Then he
do
could go on about
crowbar
other
in a bit
politics.
of a kind of like political thing about Vietnam later on, don't they, and everything. But there just isn't a relatable, similar like for like character that is Rick, is the kind of right on. So all the ingredients should be there, and it fails on numerous levels. I think obviously the characters don't gel. I don't think it's in any way believable that this Todd and this Rip and this Neil are in any way thrown together through circumstance.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't even say it's not believable they're friends, because of course in the young ones it's still not really that believable that any of them are like genuine friends.
Absolutely.
But they've all been thrown together in this, you know, student commune that
they've got
happens.
chemistry though.
Yes, exactly. And they're foils, you know, there's the classic setup of the family. There's the mum, there's the dad, there's the two kids squabbling, you know. It works as a premise and as a chemistry between them, like you say. Whereas this is like, there's absolutely no sense whatsoever why they're having to live together. We're just told they've got no food in the house.
And
we're
they-
just told that.
Yeah.
And that they're hungry, and that, you know, the Rip character's kind of trying to smash things over his head to distract himself from hunger. And then a
that's-
really, really awful thing where Harry the hamster is like, oh, I'm going to eat the hamster. You know, it's like, that's just gross. Like, you know, Vivian
that's
snogged with him. He never ate him
No, he did.
in the first opening 5 minutes.
What could be an equivalent name to SPG for an American audience? Something political, like the
ICE.
KGB or something.
It'll be ICE now, wouldn't it?
Now.
Now, but yeah,
KGB, I
I
think.
mean, I guess so, yes. Just something a bit more
Yeah.
than Harry the hamster. I mean, you know, Harry the bastard, great. Harry the hamster,
Yeah.
It's
Right, I've
not
got a little
joke.
bit written about each of the characters and what they kind of are meant to be,
Okay.
who they are. So Todd is the Mike equivalent, yeah? He's self-important and posturing, lectures the others, but he's kind of got Mike's role as the facto leader stuff,
But he's quite weak, isn't he?
he's different. He's kind of, they've gone for like a kind of preppy to the American frat house
Yeah, he's
type,
well
right?
dressed, isn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
I mean, the
but-
house. Sorry, I was going to say at the beginning, the house feels like a bit of an American frat house. It's not dirty, but it looks like the kind of place that, like a frat house.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think? Because I mean, like, I've never been to an American frat house. Is it just like that's like a residential house?
Basically, yeah.
So it is just that's what you'd do as a student. You'd be
so,
in quite
yeah.
a, because it looks like a homey setup.
I mean,
like as in a family.
I mean, I
home.
will say when I say it looks like a frat house, it doesn't. There's only a cigarette paper between that and a regular American home. So,
Well, that's what I mean. There's no grime or grot or anything
Yeah.
that's reflecting we've got no food or you
No,
know when we're
it's
down on
too-
our luck.
It's a bit too big and well lit as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, the young one's house was well lit. To
And
be
obviously,
fair.
we'll let you go through
Right.
the characters.
So yeah, I'd say also Todd lectures and posses a bit more like Rick than Mike does, little bit. So I feel what has happened. I'll get to the end with Rick. Rip is the Vivian equivalent, violent, weapons based. He's the most obvious comparison if you didn't count Neil, because obviously Neil is still Neil. But he escalates everything for violence visually. He's dressed the exact same as Vivian, really.
Yeah.
Apart from, I think he's got a ponytail as well, so that's another little bit of a Rick.
Yeah, and he's not exact
ness.
same, is he? It's a pale
you know what?
imitation.
No,
of the
no
denim.
head studs, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's-
recording is so low res that it's sometimes difficult to make out the fine detail of things like, is that a ponytail? Is that,
Yeah, is that a piece of dog shit? Oh no, it's just the entire show. It's not like for like in terms of it's as good a costume.
Yeah.
It's just they've exactly copied the denim look. Haven't
I'd
they?
say, the vocal mannerisms a little bit Rick, little bit with just
Yeah.
the childishness and stuff of it, because he doesn't need not the
It's
gravelly,
like, it's like
angry.
they've given Rip the Vivian anger and the violence, and none of it makes any fucking sense though. And then Todd's kind of Mike and Rick's whining, like it's like
Yeah.
Mike's kind of
Yeah.
cool persona, but then not really because he
I've got
whines
what-
a lot
yeah.
like Rick.
Yeah, Neil is Neil, mostly
though?
unchanged, but there's a few differences, aren't there? It feels like it's Nigel Planer doing a Neil impression, which he shouldn't be doing
well, of
because
course,
he's been
this-
doing it for years
But
and he
this is
invented the
90
character.
This is 1989. He's obviously working with a script that
Yeah.
not something that he. I mean, I hope to God Nigel didn't have a hand across that script, because like most of Neil's, like when you meet him in just going into an alleyway.
Yeah.
Like we have this setup of like he bumps into a guy he supposedly knows, and it's like, I'm just going to go down this really dark alley.
So
with
that
my shopping.
doesn't feel in character. That feels a bit more stupid than Neil normally is.
Absolutely, and that's where it's like
Yeah.
demographic or stupid people, and then again this meta kind of he breaks the fourth wall kind of thing, and it's like, thanks for helping me establish my character.
Yeah.
And then the other guy's like, speak to them about making me a regular.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
it's
the
a-
first kind of, hey, we're making a TV show here, but we're very, very self-knowing.
Yes, we're
and then
so meta.
Yeah.
and then this awful, I mean, obviously it's I don't know which studio lot it is, but it's been done on a back lot, hasn't it? In like this alleyway thing that's just got some shit newspaper in there. And that's basically meant to be this dark, horrible alley, even though it's really well lit. And then you've got this hilarious jape that apparently a mugger is disguised himself as a granny.
Yeah.
And Neil's fallen for it.
And then
Like-
doesn't, when he reveals himself, he still doesn't believe that he's not a granny.
And even just saying that sounds like, oh, that could be quite funny. That, say
Yeah.
that was in our young ones.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
say that was in
yeah.
the British one. You'd be like, oh, that'd be actually really quite good, because Neil is naive, isn't he? And all of that. So it's not that it's completely incongruous, but he starts going on about like middle-aged, like
Balding.
older, you're an older woman, it's all right to have hair loss once the rig's revealed.
Because-
He's not that stupid in our one.
Look, hey, right, should we edit? All right, now we've written everything that we want to write. Should we edit some of this out? No, let's just do everything.
And
Let's
then-
throw all the shit and
And
hope
then
some
they're
of it
like,
sticks.
oh, there's rat puppets in the
Yeah.
original. Oh, okay, so rats would be in an alley. So let's have the
Yes.
rats in the alley.
Yes,
Okay,
that-
that makes logical sense. And then they're just sort of like, they're berating Neil. And then like the punchline to them is like, let's bite him and give him bubonic plague.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
It's
Like,
like
none of it
That's
makes...
like an AI's written that.
It's shit,
Yeah.
isn't
Hey,
it?
Yeah.
hey,
And also,
not a
I'm
punchline.
a producer on this project. I think, what if the rats say we'll give you bubonic plague?
timely reference.
So show-stopping, hilarious
Also-
punchlines.
Also, the material's bad as it is, yeah, sure. But the general puppeteering is shit.
the rats are
the
too
lip
clean.
sync is off,
Yeah.
and they just like move it. It's like, if you give your dad takes a puppet and has a little go to the kid, like,
It's
that's not as good as
marginally-
Sesame Street.
Marginally
No.
more
Do you-
convincing than that.
do you know
But
what-
you can't forgive them, can you? Because you had Jim
Yeah.
Henson, you've had Sesame Street, you've had all of it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not like the Americans don't know how to put together
Yeah.
some good fucking puppetry here.
I agree that the whole mugger bit could have been good. It was a good idea, not done well. And also the set, like hey, let's be really meta. There's a whole section where Neil is like, oh no, actually, all this stuff didn't happen off screen. It's a sound effects man. Like that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
On
Yeah,
paper,
that happens
on
later,
paper, it sounds
yeah.
all right.
But
Yeah.
I know what we'll do is we'll make that bit last too long, and we'll just keep on at it, and we'll just keep reminding
Well,
people it's a TV show.
That happens later, and it is, as you say, the first reveal of like, oh, what's happening outside the door, and then it's like, oh, it's just the sound effects guy, and then he disappears down the stairs, and it sounds like he's falling down the stairs, and it's like, ha 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 ha, fooled you again, and then there's another double, double down on the joke. And it's that
And
he has fallen down the stairs. And then
it's
horrendously,
pancreas.
Neil throws a very realistic looking organ
Pancreas.
yeah,
Can you
of his
throw me my
pancreas
pancreas?
down the stairs after
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a gross out laugh,
Yeah.
but it's
Why
like...
would have? Yeah.
With a
Even in
with
the
a
young ones,
splat.
with Vivian arriving with a leg wrapped in paper on the table, okay, that's gross, isn't it? But it's just there's this line that you're finally walking, isn't there? And it's like you could believe that he's come in with a leg wrapped in paper,
Yes.
that he's got it from the autopsy, whatever. But it's not gross. It's
Yeah.
not. I want to vom
Yeah.
looking at that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's quite.
I think there is
well
an internal
played.
logic to Young Ones stuff in a
Yeah.
weird way, and it's
Well,
not there for this stuff.
Vivian's a medical
Yeah.
student, whereas why would Neil be picking up this guy's
Right.
pancreas from
Now-
at the top of the stairs where he is and throwing it
Yeah.
back after him?
And he
Why
looks
would your
and he's
pancreas fall out?
squeamish from a fall. Yeah, you break your leg.
Why would
an
your
organ.
pancreas fall out? Because
Yeah.
you've fallen down some stairs. It
Someone's
makes
got an access to some
zero.
organs.
But the thing is, it's not even it doesn't make sense, but it's funny because it's unexpected. It's just that shit.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't elicit laughter. And obviously we are being quite heavily negative. If anyone's listening and they're thinking, I actually quite like the Oh No Not Them pilot, because it's like you get to see Nigel in a different arena, you get to see Neil played out with different characters. Like if you're playing devil's advocate a bit, maybe you could be like, well, at least they gave it a go. And surely once you've got all the budget put together, you've got the rights signed off, you're there in the studio, like you can't blame Nigel for being like, yeah, okay, I'll give it my best. And I'm not saying he gives a bad performance, but he's not really like for like Neil
No,
either.
it's different. It's a bit softer as well. He seems kind of like Neil was always a bit kind.
Yeah.
But he's soft. It's different. It's different.
It's like they've made him really unlikable and not have the R.
Yeah,
Like you used to
yeah.
get from Nick.
Yeah.
There would not be a lit sitting at R because
It's
they haven't
annoying.
set him up as too pathetic, and then you can feel sorry for him because he's just stupid. He gets mugged, and then that whole bit where when he comes back and it's like, oh, I got mugged, and oh, I told him to come back to ours tonight, and I gave him our spare key, and it's all meant to be how stupid Neil is. It's like, no one would do that is completely ludicrous.
And most importantly, the character that isn't there is Rick. He's completely gone as a standalone character. Instead, his jokes and personality traits are kind of distributed across Rip and Todd. This is the main reason the pilot doesn't work, I think, because Rick stole every scene he's in The Young Ones. Probably the best thing about The Young Ones, in my opinion at least. Splitting him into two watered down versions and giving him traits to other people just makes those two characters less and him less. You think you could split him up and divvy this out. This does not work. Makes very little sense as well, because if you're losing Rick as a character, but you still got Rick-shaped jokes, you want to put them in somewhere, why did you get rid of Rick? You can therefore, you recognise his qualities. Oh, let's give them to other people, but he doesn't belong to a character. What are you talking about? I think that is the biggest misfire of the entire thing, and it was doomed from the start because of that decision.
And that's because they want to throw everything in. Again, it's throwing as much against the wall as possible and seeing what shit sticks.
But I also think I reckon they thought we can't get someone to play a Rick because it has to be Rick. Like, I genuinely think you couldn't really be like, there's an equivalent American character that we could have here that's similar to
Robin Williams, maybe?
No, but not even like the actor playing him, just that inherent character that is Rick the poet. Like maybe there's some sort of, real Sudi poets still in America. I'm not saying there isn't, but I just think they obviously thought, let's just split him up because there isn't a like for like. Whereas with Mike, there's the kind of like good looking, charming one. There's the kind of, violent punk who's going to go after some guns. And then obviously Neil doesn't really work, but he's an aging hippie. He looks aging.
It doesn't matter who says the lines, as long as someone says them and the lines are funny,
But
they'll get a big laugh.
But inherently, they're not students, are they? They're not.
Yeah.
None of it in the world building that you need to do with a sitcom actively makes sense.
But they all look about 30 by now anyway.
Well, that's why they obviously couldn't call it The Young Ones.
Yeah.
It's Oh No, Not Them, because they really couldn't have just given it the like for like title, could they? Jesus.
Robert Llewellyn wrote about this briefly in his book, The Man in the Rubber Mask, talking about, because obviously he had a similar experience.
Yeah.
And he said, The Young Ones was taken over the Atlantic in the mid-80s, and Nigel Planer was the only member of the British cast to go. He had experienced a fairly hideous time. Worried sick, he was going to have to stay there for 6 years with a group of people he hated, who managed to make the Young Ones into a sort of grubby Benny Hill show. He was hugely relieved when the pilot was a flop and he was released from his contract. So, a couple of things to say there. One thing is that they're actually very close friends.
Yeah.
So, anything Robert Llewellyn has to say about that, I think, is gospel because Nigel would have told him about it.
Well, yeah, I've got a follow up to that as well, but carry on.
Secondly, to explain, the reason he would have had to stay there for 6 years is generally when actors go over and sign for a pilot, they sign an addendum to the contract saying, if this gets picked up, you'll stay here and do 7 seasons of it. I think 7 years is the maximum you can contract someone for. So that's why they would contract them for 7 years. But if it fails, you can go and we'll pay you off. And lastly, the reason he called it a grubby Benny Hill is, again, many people won't have seen this, is that there's 2 female characters, the neighbours, who are sort of ditzy blondes.
We should name them the actresses because it's this thing of like if it was an American sitcom, they'd be like, yeah, okay, we'll cast some gorgeous blondes, and it kind of works.
There's no women in this. What we need is some gorgeous women. We'll have some gorgeous neighbours who'll come over, and when they come over and the door is open to them, the audience will whoop and cheer in a manner that when I saw it, I thought this is what the Young Ones UK version would do. If they were making a spoof, if they were doing a skit where, like their Dynasty skit or something, we'll do a US sitcom. And when the women appear at the door, we'll have the audience go, woo!
Yeah, that's it, because they're so gorgeous and they're, because we haven't been introduced to them as characters yet. So it's not like people are saying, oh, yay, Heather and Angelica have arrived. We love these. It's just literally because they're gorgeous, right? It's Shari Shattuck as Heather and Christy Summers as Angelica. I did look up their film history. They didn't really do a huge amount. But yeah, they're literally been cast because they're gorgeous. And it would be okay if they came in and then they were like really funny and because their entire reason for existence in this show is to be the next door neighbours that basically Rip and Todd would like to have sex with.
Yeah.
Right? They fancy them. And then they've got this weird power dynamic where apparently they get these 2 guys who are, wanting to sleep with them to come over and wash their car, clean their house. Oh no, they can build up to washing the car. They can clean the house, while we go out to a party. That's the hilarious ruse that they're like, okay, and like they're like puppy dogs or whatever. And it's like none of that actually makes any fucking sense because these 2 guys aren't exactly like, I mean, if you were going to go for like, oh, it's this really clean, lovely house and they'll come and clean ours and, like they're dead. But it's like, these are meant to be scummy, horrible characters, right? Who have nothing to fucking...
It's a joke that they failed
pennies together.
to notice there as well. Like if they were scummy, like, hey, come and tidy my house, like that's a stupid idea.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a humour to be had from that, but they
it is
didn't
just
deliver.
It is just I don't know, it just doesn't play particularly well, does it? And like they are gorgeous, and it is like just really jarring when the audience starts whooping and cheering. Which when we said it like series 3 when Eddie comes in the banana in bottom, it's that American style reaction, isn't it? With that, and it's sort of jarring in a British thing, but obviously this Oh No Not Them is an American fucking studio audience, so of course they whoop and cheer.
One thing I didn't predict that the Oh No What Them was going to go down, which is that where Robert Llewellyn refers to it as a grubby Benny Hill, is that these characters later on, when there's a bazooka is fired, their dresses disappear, don't they? Their dresses get blown off, and they're there in their underwear.
And then they're trying to hide, like, oh, this is so revealing. I'm like,
I'll cover myself.
That's the thing
like
that they're literally cast so that joke can eventually happen.
So they can be undressed later on.
It's like they've thought of that cartoon style joke, isn't it? Of like, as you say, it's a massive bazooka, isn't it? Because the escalation, the hilarious escalation, ladies and gentlemen, is that, it's violent, is it? Okay, well, we'll get the Rip character to buy guns, and then it's going to escalate to him having a cannon, which obviously does happen in the Young Ones, but it's so
American,
believable.
Isn't it? So there needs to be guns.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But that's it. It's like, what will violence be? Well, I I didn't even have to show my ID, and all that to get guns. That, to be honest, the gun violence and the satirization of that is probably the only thing that I'm like, okay,
it goes on way too
relatable.
long, isn't it? And it's very strange to see Neil pick up a gun and join the shooting.
Yes, because he's meant to be all about peace, and that's where Neil doesn't
He's a
make
pacifist.
Anyway.
So on to going back to the Robert Llewellyn stuff. Nigel Planer did gently correct a few elements of this. He did say like he was.
Was this at Slapstick or?
No, it's in his biography.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He said that yes, he was thankful it didn't go to series, but he says he is glad he did it because he admired the cast and crew, and specifically formed a lasting friendship with Robert Bundy, who played Todd, which is quite nice.
I mean, I was touching on it a bit earlier. It's like once you've got into the situation where you've got it commissioned, you've got the studio time, you've cast your actors, you've got the production, like everything's rolling. We've announced it to the trade press that this show's been commissioned and it's happening, right? And then it's like, at what point do you pull the plug if you think it's going to be shit?
Yeah.
Or do you go? I mean, I think Reece Shearsmith once said in one of his like acceptance speeches, like no one sets out to make a big pile of shit.
Yeah.
Like nobody sets out to make a pile of shit, So like they'll have gone into it with high hopes of
Sure.
like this is gonna work.
But this was scheduled to be broadcast in a slot, which is basically 4 pilots. It goes out on a certain thing night for all the pilots, and it wasn't even shown on that. It was so bad.
Oh,
But
really?
I mean,
It was
it's telling,
never-
isn't it? That
never
I mean,
shown.
I'd love for us to speak with Nigel Planer ourselves one day. But if he has confided in Robert Llewellyn that he was so relieved that it didn't get commissioned, he obviously didn't really want to do it. I think he spoke at Slapstick about there being some kind of photo shoot where Neil was meant to be kind of draped around. Those girls were draped around
And
Neil,
he was like, no.
and they were in bikinis, and that was where he was like, I need to say something because this is not the Neil character. This doesn't work, and he did. And they were kind of like, oh, the English guy doesn't think this is going to work. Oh, okay, maybe what should we have them be? It's like, no, there just shouldn't be any of the girls. That just the Benny Hill thing is not what this is.
I think Nigel as well Neil is his character, isn't it? He created Neil, and just having someone else play Neil, I think, would have upset him.
I mean, the same thing would have happened with. I mean, I don't know whether Aid or Rick or Chris Ryan would have been like watching that and thinking, thank fuck I wasn't asked.
There, but for the grace
or
of
whether
God,
they'd
go
be
I.
thinking, oh, I wish I'd been asked and got this load of money and like had an experience in LA and shot a pilot, because as an actor, that's an amazing thing to be offered, isn't it?
Yeah. The only thing I can use as comparison for that is that Craig Charles and Danny John Jules have talked about that when they found out that Robert Llewellyn was asked to go over. I think, Craig Charles went into makeup and was like, found out from makeup artist, oh, Robert Llewellyn's going to go over and do the US thing. And him and Danny John Jules were kind of like, well, why don't they want us?
Yeah. And you would probably feel that way, wouldn't you, before the thing has been shat out?
Yeah.
But let's imagine if it had just been, Martin Freeman taking over as Tim in The Office. And, Martin Freeman could have had an amazing career, couldn't he? And instead he did the Hobbit films. No, I'm joking. I like Martin Freeman. But what I'm saying is that could have happened, couldn't it? They could have been like, let's just keep Ricky.
Yeah.
Let's just have Ricky
as
David Brent. But that would not have played in the American. Like, it's so good they got Steve Carell, isn't it? Like, he plays that character. They changed the name. They changed it enough to make it work for the American audience. That's why that's a success.
The first episode is a shot-for-shot remake, more or less, of The Office, and it doesn't feel right at all.
The stapler and the jelly and that sort of thing, isn't it? And that's where they sort of like will base it on this to begin with, but they very sensibly after that when we're just going to kind of take it off in our own direction with American writers.
But the thing is, it's still relatable office humor, isn't it? Whereas this doesn't. It's not like they did do a frat house. If they'd done an American frat house and it was genuinely students and they were all like, maybe trying to get off with the girls at a frat party or something like that, but they're living
the
this
National
adult.
Lampoon thing.
They're living
with
this
John
adult
Belushi.
life.
Oh, Animal House.
Like that kind of thing.
Like maybe that could have worked if it was
Do you know
genuinely
what-
grotty.
Do you know what Oh No Not Them reminds me of? It would be as if you fed all the elements of the young ones into ChatGPT. So here, there's a show that has puppets and that people are violent and the characters are grotesque and all this stuff. In fact, and then said ChatGPT or Copilot or something, please make me an American version. This is what it would spit out.
Some of the early visual video bits that the AIs can now make. You can do this kind of thing with putting these weird elements and just...
But
it
like
needs the laugh track on it so you can tell it's meant to be funny.
But I think it would be, don't put any British sitcoms in. Don't put the young ones in. Just tell them those elements and then just take all of the US sitcoms you've ever absorbed and make and shit it out of that.
Yeah.
Because there is no elements, is there, of like this, that what you love about the young ones, which is inherently that it's shit, grimy, it's got all of like your stepdad and son. Because Sanford and Son was semi-successful, but not really, wasn't it?
I mean, in that it went for, it didn't like burn and die. It ran for several series. So, in the world of UK sitcoms that were remade in America, one would cite that as a success. Obviously, now The Office is the high benchmark.
I'd have to admit I've not watched Sanford and Son, and maybe I should look at it.
I don't think the average American audience knew that was a remake of Stepmother and Son as well.
Because I presume they made them believable American characters, which is where I think The Office flies, isn't it?
I mean, like, for one thing, it was
two black guys.
It was two black guys, black father and son.
So there's a couple of bits that have literally recycled jokes from the young ones. One of them being the teapot, now the coffee pot. Because it can't be tea because we're in America. But he's English, so it could have been tea still, and it's just an unnecessary change. Like they wouldn't have understood it if it was teapot.
Just don't even get me started on anyway. Even how you make, because now you make coffee.
Like, you don't just put water in a pot and make coffee, do you? Like, it's got to have the fucking coffee bean. Anyway,
It's the joke of the like not seeing him with the arms that plays really well when he goes to show up to Rick.
He does see it in his scope.
Whereas they see him and they're nonplussed. The entire setup and punch of that joke is completely lost in this script, hasn't it? It's just like, oh yeah, great, you got 10 hours.
Yeah, so you think that makes you special, does it, Neil?
And this is what happens when you feed a joke in at the beginning of the process. It gets rewritten, and everyone's got their fingers in and wants to change stuff. And the end thing is something that does not resemble. It's the camel. It's the what is it? A camel is a horse built by committee thing, isn't it?
And the thing is, you feel for the art department because since you've got a lot of time into building the arms for Neil in the same way, it looks quite impressive. And it's just shat away, isn't it? As a joke. Like, it's not even.
Oh,
speaking of things that shat away, Hitler was on screen for about 3 seconds. Wasn't he?
that makes me think of Paul Jackson's other sitcom.
Yeah, that's what I thought as soon as I saw that. Yeah.
But you know what annoys me? It's the same sofa and living room with different people on it. They've not redressed it.
I didn't pick that up. Okay.
It's all about the Bob Newhart bit. Yeah, where he phones up the police and it's like, hi, this is the police.
Yeah.
No, it's Bob Newhart.
So Bob Newhart
Who?
was something of a.
Really beloved American comedian.
Yeah. But Neil's fucking face with that matches mine. And I'm like, what the fucking hell was that?
Bob Newhart was something of a star, and David Merkin's only previous directing credit before Oh No Not Them was a show with Bob Newhart. So
Yeah.
obviously he was able to call in that particular favour.
What I've heard is that Newhart, I think it's a show that he was doing, and it's on the same lot at the same time while that shot was being filmed.
Okay.
So if he does know him, it literally was, you're down the road.
Can you
we
just
film
answer
this
the
little-"
phone, please?
Yeah.
And that would be a nice little sting. I mean, I know him from The Big Bang Theory. He played Professor Proton. Okay, like Sheldon.
Another recycled joke as well. There's an ad break, and then when they comes back, they're all playing themselves.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so when Nigel's like, well, I was in my trailer and they had the wrong mineral water.
Yeah.
And then back into
Yeah.
character like in Nasty when you see them all. Oh, I hate him. Looks like a
But
bitch.
again,
that
like
bit.
it's like, hey, every 30 seconds we need to remind people that we know it's a sitcom and
Yeah.
we we'll break the fourth wall and acknowledge that it's all a set and that kind of
Sure,
thing.
but that was earned in the young ones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is straight away the actors
Yeah.
playing characters of themselves. We don't know who these people are yet, so why would we care?
Yeah, and then they've used all these elements of like, okay, there's violence, but it builds again, taking elements is you've got like it builds with the nuclear bomb. So they obviously were like, okay, how can we escalate this to there suddenly being a nuclear bomb in the house instead of the really wacky surreal thing that the young ones did, which was just it was there. They've got the Rip character has apparently got his hands on that after the gun.
That's because he had to show two forms of ID or something. And that's actually a recycled thing from the episode with a bomb in it called Bomb.
they're thinking, oh, the characters have got to get all these things instead of taking the heart that was the young ones, which was just we don't have to explain why it's there.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's a cartoon, you know. Whereas they're like, oh well, he's got. I mean, it escalates from bazookas, guns. There's a cannon, isn't there?
One bit nearly made me laugh when the neighbours like, you're making too much noise. Oh, sorry. Then they put silencers on the gun and that's all right. I didn't say funny. I said it's all right.
It's all right. It's a little detail. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's one way to get around that problem. And again, I think the thing I can't forgive the entire kind of concept of this particular pilot theme, the plot of this is like that it makes Neil violent. And that isn't what Neil would start doing. He would start, writing himself away, hiding from the nuclear blast. He wouldn't start firing guns willy-nilly around the house just because the others.
There's a moment of saying, guys, you may relax, but then
and he gets upset. They have this weird thing with the furniture being sentient, which again is kind of, we'll make it.
Yeah, it feels another Young Ones adjacent thing, but it goes on too long.
Yeah.
None of them are funny.
Well,
Yeah.
I would argue the only one that raised a slight little smile for me was probably the toilet.
Yeah.
Which is like, how do you think I feel?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should see what I've seen.
But it's like, the door gets slammed. Yeah, so it's like, how do I think? The phone gets slammed down. Not even a very good rule of three, is it? The puppetry of the door and everything is
I think like the lip thing is like a kind of a rubbery thing, and again, it's like the lip sync's not Right. And it's like, what? You're spending $1 million on this. Get that right. Fucking hell.
It's kind of close to the Hello Dawn bit, isn't it? With the dawn having
Yeah,
lips
sure.
in the young ones. It's that kind of idea of there's just a mouth in a piece of furniture.
I like the fact that 2 minutes before the end they go, because it's a US sitcom, they go to an advert break 2 minutes before the end, because the idea is that people want to stay for the ending. What they do is they have the nuclear bomb blow up, and then they go to an ad break, and as they go into it, they're clearly thinking, we've just had the bomb's blown up. If we go to the ad break now, people will think it's ended. So they have to go, oh no, not then. We'll be right back after this break or something.
Yeah.
Please stay watching, please, so you can come back after the ad break, just so we can go, yeah, they're all right, they didn't die. If you'd made a show that was good over the last 30 minutes, then you've earned the right to then cut to the meta audience at home going, this was terrible, I'm going to read
Yeah.
more. I thought
Yeah.
it was rubbish. But you know what? You haven't earned that right, because what you just made is rubbish.
Yeah, this makes me think of the mockumentary that Steve Lawson made, Just for the Record, where it's a fake film about the worst film ever made. It's like, your first film you're directing is a mockumentary about a bad film. That's quite presumptuous, isn't it? How dare you? Rick Mayall's in that as well. Well, he wasn't in this. What about the underscoring of the "I love you guys" thing at the end? It's not.
I was saying that I learned something today. That's the music. Well, that's actually quite, that's satirical. That's how I could go at like other sitcoms and things. We have that moment, like South Park ended up doing it, didn't he? Like, we really learned something today.
I love you guys.
And that, it has his all right.
Doesn't go to it enough, I think,
No, that's it. It doesn't actually commit to any of it fully. And that whole, maybe nuclear war is winnable line. And then over the credits, they decide to get rid of all the weapons.
Mm.
And then the unforgettable tag of at the end, once they got rid of all the weapons, that the mugger turns up at the door. Yeah, that was the end.
No, I think that actually made me smile.
That's actually quite a good gag. Let's have them get rid of all the weapons, then the mugger will turn up,
And that's the only bit.
I'm not saying it redeems the fucking episode at all.
But they come he's at the door, they can't defend themselves, and then presumably he murders all three of them because we never see any of them again, and that's how Oh No, Not Them ends.
No. Do you feel sad about the fact that all of those characters no longer exist in the same way that you feel sad about them going off the cliff?
What do you think?
and Oh No, Not Them went on to run for 10 series.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I did that one earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, stand-up moments?
Fucking hell,
end.
when it-
So hard
Yeah.
to choose. What if we're playing devil's advocate? What are the bits that you think, if it
Okay.
had been in a different setting, a different...
So, like I said earlier, I thought if in a different setting, if they'd made it a bit more tighter, the sound guy thing could have worked quite well. It was a good idea, but they just laboured it too long.
I think as well, it would have been a stronger ending if you fell down the stairs. Like, oh no, you're right. And you go, yeah, fooled you.
Yeah.
That's the end. There's the joke. Done. Get out.
Hasn't that been done? I don't know if it's been done before this, but there's definitely been done.
I think it's a little bit Police Academy, maybe. It's in Bottom, isn't it? Like, bong, what have you got up there? A sound man.
Yeah.
I think in another kind of setting, like when they do the meta stuff where they're commenting on the show being made, in the morning when it's like, why have we suddenly got OTs when we didn't have any food before?
And then
it's
it's
like,
trying to...
there's a script inconsistency and things like that. If it
Yeah.
been played ever so slightly differently and it wasn't just so frustrating, then maybe all those little tidbits.
Yeah.
And that's a similar way to the sound effects thing, isn't it? Really, we're kind of liking the because it's relatable and we get it. It's like they're the bits that are quite funny because they are commenting on the
Right.
process of filmmaking, and that's a funny
The
idea.
fact that, is there not cornflakes in America? I think there are, aren't they?
There are, yeah.
Yeah, Oties just sounds too American and it grates me. They're annoying.
No, well,
I'll have Oties.
that is nitpicking, but
So
those
what-
is like a childish cereal, maybe.
I don't know.
Whereas cornflakes is more grown up, maybe in America. I don't know because it's the Quakers.
So what I think does translate, well, that's the wrong term. What things that they have successfully attempted from the young ones is Neil,
Okay.
the surreal cutaways, talking inanimate objects, being meta and self-referential, and a show that knows it's a show, and violence a little bit, I suppose, playing devil's advocate. What doesn't work, the character chemistry,
Yeah.
non-existent, terrible. Hatred behind the housemates doesn't feel real. They neither like or hate each other enough.
Mm-hmm.
The political voice is gone. There's a fucking little bit of comments of the Vietnam War is fucking paper thin. The politics in the young ones is throughout all of its DNA.
It's paper thin and then
Yeah.
it's pointed out, isn't it?
No willingness to really hurt the characters as well. where they do, the violence and stuff. There's no real
Yeah.
payoff and stuff. There's cartoon violence in the young ones, and they don't get hurt, but still, the hits look much better. But it's Rick and Aid, the best whoever did it. What I think could have saved this if they'd put a character in it that was kind of like deeply flawed and interesting, lecturing and posturing with like a bunch of political right on, like maybe a bit of a poet or something, a bit petulant, like a virgin, something like that. That'd be really good. Yeah. Rick the student is one of the best characters of all comedy, and to remove him entirely shows that they didn't understand the young ones from the beginning, and it would never have worked.
I think they couldn't attempt him. Like, I genuinely think they knew that Rick was a great character, but they couldn't attempt him.
Then fucking bring Rick Mail over instead of Nigel Planer.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Imagine it if it had been they'd got rid of Neil and they had Rick instead. You can see why it would have these, like the American idea of like, who's the likable one? Who's the guy we identify with?
I can imagine someone else playing Neil, though. I can.
Yes, I can. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But do you think it would have been any better if they had put Rick, if it had not Nigel, if they'd got Rick over there?
Yeah, I think it would be better because Rick Mao is infinitely watchable.
I think it would be more painful to watch though for us because having to watch Rick, if he was, I hope Rick, if he had been asked, would have refused to deliver some of those lines and maybe would have been like, let's do this, let's do that.
It still wouldn't have worked. It would have been better, but it still wouldn't have worked.
Well, I was going to say, this is the first time we've really looked at something that doesn't have Rick or Aid in.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, we're looking at it because we're doing the Young Ones series, but we're actually watching something without Rick or Aid in it.
I never thought of that.
If it had been Rick or Aid, do you think we'd have loved Oh No, Not Them?
No, I think we would have appreciated it more. But
we'd have been glad it exists.
I think it still wouldn't have worked.
But absolutely.
Overall, I am glad I got to see this. Still, I was always been morbidly curious.
Yeah.
After this absolute assassination in the show, but we are glad we got to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's got bits in it that you can see what they were attempting, and it's weird that there is actually comedy royalty involved with this. People that went on to work on The Simpsons and some of the best stuff. The director of that was brought back to write for the Simpsons film, which was all of the best ever people to ever work on The Simpsons. They brought back for.
I will say I don't think the direction's bad. I don't think that the individual bit.
The core problem is the script. It's not funny. It doesn't know what it wants to do. It doesn't know the tone it wants to set. It mishmashes everything and throws everything in there. You're right. The direction is fine. It's shot perfectly well. All the effects and stunts are perfectly good. I would say on the direction, I would have said to Rorschach, "Can you not deliver it like an excited toddler?"
Yeah.
You know. But then at the same time, you probably have the director saying that with the producer over his shoulder going, "Yeah, keep it lots of energetic. We're people like children. Make it like a child."
You love that impression, didn't you?
Yeah.
Were you there?
This
is uncanny. Were you there?
The latest concept, like the entire concept, is where
flawed. It's just the foundation structure
and the decision to change all the elements, and as you say, shit them out as if you put it through ChatGPT. That's the problem. Like the individual performances are all doing their best. I don't think anyone's letting it down. Like there's no one person you can blame.
No, but it's 28 minutes long, less than 1 minute of anything remotely a laugh.
Have you ever been more disappointed in anything watching it in your life? I went into it thinking, I can't wait to at least see what this is. And
there's maybe not. There's a website that reviews Young Ones episodes, and they put that one on new, the lowest one, obviously. Of course it is. Just every single one of these things, the guns, Bob Newhart, talking objects, all misfire. It's a sitcom on its own merit. It's bad. Compare it to the Young Ones. Fucking terrible.
Well, that's where it's unforgivable, isn't it? It's like you had this perfect anarchic, like nothing you've ever seen before show, and you've tried to replicate it, and you've just failed.
I feel that this quote here that I'm going to pretend to read sums it up brilliantly. Ooh, Betty, the cat's just shat out the worst sitcom of all time.
Yeah. Right, review from Greg there in
a much
extras.
better sitcom,
in extras. Biggest disappointment. Oh no, not them.
Biggest disappointment. Biggest disappointment. Yes.
Yeah.
But again, if you've got to the end of this episode and you still haven't seen the show, well done. But yeah, do seek it out. I think you said previously, Paul, you can pay for something on a credit card for Patreon and then demand your money back if you don't think you've got. You don't think you got your money's worth. So, I mean, do support it.
I mean, look, Nigel didn't make very much money from this.
I doubt
I
it.
don't know. So give him a tenner. Come on.
Yeah.
He's done loads to make you
I
laugh
would
for free.
dearly love, though, to have a chance to speak with Nigel and just, genuinely ask him.
Yeah, do you think he'd be defending her? Oh, you're wrong.
No,
you're wrong.
I think,
love it.
that's it. It was just like, but you've got to give these things a go, haven't you?
Right.
And if it hadn't been given a go, we'd be like, why did they never try and remake The Young Ones? That was one of the most seminal sitcoms of the 80s. Why did they never try? So, they tried is all you can say.
Now, just popped in my head, do you think that the lovely ladies next door is the kind of American equivalent of Mr. Blowski?
Oh, Christ.
Sort of. It's a different,
Fuck
that.
knows.
Well, I mean, I guess they're having this, there's an extraneous character that
Yeah.
pops in, but I mean, no one wanted to see Alexi in his underwear. So,
Oh.
or actually, no, I would rather have seen Alexi in
Yeah.
his underwear in a real episode of The Young
It would
Ones
be
And-
funnier,
than
wouldn't
watch
it?
our
It'd
lovely
be
ladies.
funnier.
And on that bombshell, many comedy fans are completists. So I would say if you are intrigued about it and just want to see it, and if we've made it sound like the car crash and dumpster fire that it truly is, and that has piqued your curiosity, go to Nigel Planer's Patreon, pay however much it is to watch it, watch
£10.
it, and then at least you'll be in the know on it.
Yeah, and please do come back at us if you think it's great. And we're wrong, but I would,
Yeah,
I
and then
bet
we'll-
money that no one is
Have
going
you
to do that.
committed if you fucking do? Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Maybe some of the stars of the show.
But the
Apologies.
Simpsons episodes from season 5 and 6, The Simpsons are some of the absolute best ones. So, yeah, he has gone on to do great work.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like I say, it's no one person's fault, and at least it does exist, and at least we have seen it, because it was a thing that was like, oh, I'd love to actually finally know what that was about, and we do.
Yeah.
A load of shit.
Right. Okay, so we do have a quiz. We're going to start it in a moment. All I want you guys to do is just shout out answers, okay? Don't need for fart buzzers, okay? It's Matt versus Ange. Okay, here we go. Question 1. Should Oh No, Not Them have been made?
No!
Ange wins! That's the quiz. That was the only question this week.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you aren't following us, we're at Talking Bottom. Hates Oh No, Not Them. No, we're at Talking Bottom on all the socials. We're not changing our name. Yeah, we're on all the socials. If you aren't already following us, what the fuck have you been doing for the last 8 or 9 years?
We've got a book out.
Also, there's an audiobook out, read by Dickhead himself, Lee Corns, friend of the show.
Oh, also tea towels and t-shirts.
Yeah, go on our socials, and if you want to follow us, you'll find our link tree, and you can get in touch with us and give us some feedback and all of that kind of stuff.
But normally we don't just violently slag off the things we review.
Yeah, God,
normally,
if
but
this-
this one is, but yeah.
If this is the first episode of Talking Bottom anyone's ever listened to, my God, would it deserve our kind of like, all they ever do is slag it off.
Yeah.
But no, we've tried to be fair, but no,
Yeah.
shoot it in the head,
How many
put it out of its
stars?
misery.
No, I give it no stars.
Nothing.
No stars at 5.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.